Hi everyone, welcome back to Learn With Me. I'm Deborah Hanson. Today we're going to be looking at AP Human Geography 1.7 regional analysis, but today we're only going to be talking about the key terms for this section of the unit. On this slide, you're going to see the list of all the key terms I'm going to go through today. I'm going to give you a definition, real life example, and an exam tip so that you can be prepared for the exam. It's really important to know the key terms. I always say key to the five is knowing your key terms. So you have to know not only the definition of the key term, but you have to be able to apply it in real world examples, especially in an FRQ. And then the MCQ you really do need to know how to define it and link it to whatever they're talking about in the question or the stimulus. So super important to understand and to know your key terms. It really is the key to getting that five, okay? So on this video, we're going to go through all of those key terms. Hopefully you find it helpful. If you do, hit that like and subscribe button for me. Really appreciate it. Here we go. Okay, so as I mentioned, this video is about key terms. So it's going to be your definition, your example, your exam tip for each of the key terms from that the list that we saw on that original key terms slide. If you want to know more information about these and how they link to the actual CED question, check out my video 1.7 explained. Okay, here we go on the definition. So make sure you write these down somewhere, flashcards. I really like the ones that are bound with the, the little spiral bound and they're together so you can keep all your unit one question or key terms together. You can do your unit two, all of that. Makes it so much easier when you're studying for the exam. Okay, here we go. Region. The definition, an area defined by one or more unifying characteristics, either cultural, physical, political, or economic. An example, the Middle East is defined by shared climate, language, and religion. Here's your exam tip. Know that regions can overlap and vary by perspective. Don't assume boundaries are always fixed. Regional analysis, the study of spatial patterns and relationships within and between regions. For example, comparing economic development across Latin America. Think patterns plus connections. The AP often asks you to analyze regions, not just name them. Formal region. The definition is an area where everyone shares one or more measurable traits. For example, the Corn Belt in the US, where corn is the dominant crop. Look for words like uniform or homogeneous in questions. Okay, so now let's talk about functional region or the nodal region. The definition is a region organized around a central node or focal point. Here's an example, the New York City metropolitan area. For example, the central node is New York City itself. The surrounding areas, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut suburbs, are linked through commuting patterns, subway lines, highways, and media networks. The influence is strongest at the core, Manhattan, and weakens as you move outwards. Here's the exam tip. On the exam, if the region is organized around a center, like a newspaper circulation area, a metropolitan area, a subway system, that's a functional nodal region. The influence weakens as you move away from the core. So, for example, if the region fades outwards from a central point of activity, it's a functional nodal region. Oops. Okay, vernacular region, perceptual region. This is a region defined by people's feelings, attitudes, or perceptions. The South in the US. So, for example, these regions they very depend on who you ask. So look for subjective or cultural identity clues. Regionalization. The definition is the process of dividing an area into smaller regions for study or management. For example, dividing Africa into North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Southern Africa. On the exam, think of how regionalization helps simplify complex geographic data. Global versus local scale. The definition, comparison between worldwide patterns and highly detailed community level processes. For example, think global equals climate change, local is Miami sea levels rising. The AP test loves to test scale shifts. Be ready to explain how local impacts connect to global patterns. Sense of place. The definition is the emotional or cultural meaning people attach to a location. So Times Square is a symbol of excitement and tourism. If a question mentions feelings, meanings, or identity, it's talking about sense of place. Interdependence. The definition, when places rely on each other for goods, services, or ideas. For example, the US depends on Middle Eastern oil, China depends on US consumers. Here's an exam tip. It's often linked with globalization. Think flows of trade, migration, and culture. Spatial association. The definition is the degree to which two phenomena occur together in the same place. For example, poverty and higher crime rates in inner cities. So the exam tip is that look for patterns that overlap. If two things occur in the same place, spatial association is at work. Geographic context. The definition is the surrounding conditions, situations, or connections that help explain a geographic issue. For example, understanding deforestation in the Amazon requires considering population growth, farming, and global trade. So on FRQs, always provide context. Why here? Why now? When analyzing a pattern. Oops. Site. The definition is the physical characteristic of a place. For example, New Orleans site is low-lying land at the mouth of the Mississippi River. So site equals physical traits, climate, soil, elevation. Situation. The definition, a place's location relative to other places. For example, Singapore's situation on major shipping routes makes it a trade hub. Situation equals connections, so think relative, not physical features. And those are your key terms for 1.7 regional analysis. So if you want to hear all the information that goes with the CED questions, separate video. Also find the link below to the full slideshow that I have with all the information for Unit 1. It has a workbook that goes along with it. It has study notes. It has everything you need. You'll find that below. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.